All righty.
Sweet.
Okay, very good. So we are recording in progress. We had started a little bit. So I'm going to go back to where we were. Bear with me. I apologize for the technical problems here. But you know, with any technology, there's always going to be an issue. Okay, so we were talking about mission statements, and we had talked about Toastmasters International. We empower individuals. So you see there's a focus on individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders, and then the district and the club. Some of the things you may not hear as often as a new member is the values and the vision of Toastmasters. Our values are integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Our vision is to be the first choice provider of dynamic, high-value, experiential communication and leadership skills development. That's a mouthful, but basically what it means is we want to be the best in providing you an experience that helps you to become and develop communication and leadership skills. Now, I will point out at the end of this presentation, I do have some references for you that basically contains all the information that I'm presenting in this PowerPoint. So if you're like me, I struggle to take notes. Don't panic. I'm going to have some books for you, some references for you at the end of the session. Okay, we are District 115. We've only been District 115 for a couple of years. We were once part of District 33, that includes Central California at the time and Southern Nevada. We became District 115, which now includes Southern Nevada and parts of Southern Utah and a little bitty sliver of Arizona. We are part of Region 2. And our mission, again, is we build new clubs and support all clubs in achieving success. That is our district mission. We are here for you. District 115 consists of 4 divisions, Divisions A, B, C, and D. Each division is comprised of 4 to 6 areas. Each area is comprised of 4 to 6 clubs. Currently, we have 55 clubs, 929 members, and 1,678 payments. And you're probably scratching your head saying, what in the world is he talking about? And why would we use a metric on payments? Well, here's why it's important. I belong to 2 clubs. So I'm 1 member, but I'm 2 payments because I'm paying to be part of 2 clubs. And many of our members are members of more than 1 club. So that's why you see, okay, we do have 929 members and we don't want to double count them, but some of those members are part of more than 1 club. So you count that dual membership, that multiple club membership in terms of total payments rather than individuals. For more information, I want you to get familiar with the d115tm.org website, and that'll tell you more about our district. Okay, now, I just spent a few minutes talking about the commitment that Toastmasters makes to you. There is a commitment that Toastmasters expects you to make, and some of you have probably seen the Toastmasters Promise. It's in the Navigator booklet, it's in the most of all of the booklets, the club leadership booklet, some of the booklets I'm going to recommend to you at the end of this. But if you haven't seen it before, here is what your promise is to Toastmasters. You promise to attend club meetings regularly, to prepare for projects to the best of your ability, and base them on the Toastmasters education program, pathways, if you will. Prepare for and fulfill meeting assignments, provide fellow members with helpful, constructive evaluations, help the club maintain the positive, friendly environment necessary for all members to learn and grow, serve as a club officer when called upon to do so. We'll talk a little bit later about opportunities for leadership, and it really starts when you begin to serve as a club officer. Treat my fellow club members and our guests with courtesy and respect. Bring guests to the club meeting so they can see the benefits of Toastmasters. Adhere to the guidelines and rules for all Toastmaster education and recognition programs, and act within the Toastmasters core values, which we just talked about, of integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmasters activities. I think these are all great things that we can easily agree that we want to contribute and can easily promise for our clubs. Now, let's talk a little bit about club meeting flow. And some of you have probably heard this before, but I think it's a good starting point for our discussion because we also want to talk about club roles and how they contribute to the development of your leadership and communication skills. So as you know, clubs are divided into 3 sections: impromptu speaking, known as table topics, prepared speeches, and evaluation. The impromptu speaking portion is one of my favorites because it prepares you for those unexpected questions that can come up. If you've ever been in a job interview, for example, and you've had this question come out of left field, one that always drove me crazy when I would go on a job interview or something is, what do you consider to be your weakness? What's your greatest weakness? Has anybody ever got that question? It's like, oh gosh. Well, I talk too much. But anyway, table topics helps you prepare for those moments. When you might be caught off guard, it prepares your mind, and that practice, it comes on, you get it, it's almost subtle over time as you've been practicing table topics, you've been called on for table topics, and then it hits you in a real life situation, you're like, I can deal with this. So I really love table topics. It's one of what I think is a really fun part of the meeting. Then, of course, the prepared speeches. And your prepared speeches is where they're based on the path that you're on, the Pathways program that you're working, the educational program. They are typically 5 to 7 minutes. Most of them are in that time frame. And they help you develop, your opening, your body, and your closing. Over time, you get better and better at doing that. But the other thing they do for you, because they're timed, is they help you with time management. If you've ever been to a meeting where people just ramble on, and it seems like nothing ever gets done, and then suddenly you're overtime on the meeting, you will appreciate how important it is to do time management. And it begins in Toastmasters with things like table topics, prepared speeches, because everything is timed. The evaluation portion, I think, is probably the thing that is most unique about Toastmasters. This is where it's peer-to-peer evaluation. And it is intended to be positive, but at the same time, offer opportunities for improvement. So we use in Toastmasters what's often referred to as the sandwich method in the evaluation, whereby it's like a sandwich. You have an introduction about what went right with the speech, what did you like about the speech. In the middle, you might have suggestions for improvement, and then at the end, another positive boost. Because one of the things that is really important is that new members, existing members, long-term members get positive reinforcement. Of course, all of us can do better. So you don't want to be such a flowery evaluation that it doesn't help the speaker. But at the same time, you don't want, our goal is to build people up, not to bring them down. So the evaluation portion of the meeting, extremely important. Now let's look at how these sections of the meeting are facilitated through the various roles that most of you are probably somewhat familiar with. First of all, the presiding officer, usually the president, opens the meeting, may conduct a brief business meeting. Sometimes there's a business meeting at the end, but that's the role of the presiding officer, the president. There are several optional events that can occur in a meeting, and I have them noted here: a pledge and thought or an inspirational moment. Those are optional depending on the culture of your club. You may have a joke master or a humor master who takes a moment to offer a little joke. That's optional in your club. Or an educational minute. This is a brief educational on a topic related to either communication or membership. So Those things may vary from club to club. The roles that each club will have include the presiding officer I talked about earlier, opening the meeting, and then the Toastmaster, who leads the meeting for the day, sort of like the master of ceremonies, if you will, for that day's meeting. The table topics master, we've talked about, leads the impromptu speaking. And then we'll have one or two or sometimes three speakers who are giving prepared speeches from Pathways. And we're going to go over Pathways just briefly. There is a separate presentation, I believe, or educational on detailed Pathways, but I just want to give you an overview in case you haven't had that opportunity yet to select your path or you haven't reviewed the whole 11 paths. And then, of course, the general evaluator leads the evaluation portion of the meeting. There are evaluators who evaluate those prepared speeches, one for each speech. And the grammarian listens for proper language usage, typically provides a word of the day, and then gives a report as part of the evaluation portion of the meeting. And some of the skills that these roles, the evaluator and the grammarian and counter who listens for filler words, is to be a better listener. You know, all of us, most of us, have hearing skills that we're pretty much born with, but listening is an art. It's something that you have to develop. And filling those roles as evaluator, grammarian, counter, you really have to listen. And as you become a better listener, you will become a better communicator and a better leader. So the grammarian role, the counter role, listen for those filler words, so. Then the timer, again, because we want to make sure we have good time management, times the speeches, evaluations, and table topics, and gives a report either after each of those sections of the meeting or at the end of the meeting. One thing that's not officially a role in the agenda of a meeting, but is very important, is the mentor's role. Hopefully each of you have been assigned a mentor, an experienced Toastmaster, who is there to help you on your journey. You can answer questions, who can guide you, and get you on the path that you want to be. So if you haven't been assigned a mentor yet, you may want to talk to your Vice President of Education about getting a mentor that can help you stay on the journey and the path that you're looking for. Now then, speaking of paths, let's talk a little bit about the Pathways learning experience. If you're new to Toastmasters, this may seem a little bit overwhelming at times, and it does take a bit of getting used to. I've been in Toastmasters long enough to remember what's called the legacy program, and it was all manual based, and we had everything was paper. Now everything is computer based, and Pathways facilitates that. So Pathways, there are 11 unique paths that help you achieve the goals that you've defined for yourself. If you go to the TI website, you can take a brief assessment that helps find the best one for you. And don't worry if you pick a path and you start down that path and you think, this is not the right one for me. I think you have like 90 days that you can switch paths and there's no charges or anything for that. Each path has 5 different levels for you to navigate. And if you have not yet received the book, The Navigator, has everybody gotten that? If you haven't gotten that, I'm going to tell you how to get it. I've got 3 books that I'm going to recommend to you, and they're free. All you have to do is go to the TI website and download them. And The Navigator is one of them I want you to pay attention to because it's very, very helpful. Okay, the 5 core competencies. Now, competencies in Pathways, you're going to recognize that there is some overlap. We're dealing with leadership skills and communication skills. And the 5 core competencies encompass public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. And if you look at the little subsections here on this slide, you can see that there is some overlap. Build strategic leadership and conflict resolution skills. That's part of public speaking. Build interpersonal communication, leadership, and coaching skills. Build creative project management and communication skills, and build communication and leadership skills. So the question you may well be asking is, how in the world does this Pathways program accomplish what I want or help me accomplish my goals? Well, let's take a look at it. Here are the 11 paths: dynamic leadership, effective coaching, engaging humor, innovative planning, leadership development, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery, strategic relationships, team collaboration, and visionary communication. So you're probably wondering, this is a little overwhelming. How can we break this down so that I know what I'm getting into and I can pick a path that is going to best meet my needs? Well, let's take a look at these in a little bit more detail. Not so much, I don't want it to be overwhelming, but I want to share with you the intent of each path and the skills that you can get from it. And in this slide, in the next few slides, you'll notice that on the left, you'll see the various levels. They're all level 1 through 5, and that's the same for every path. But in dynamic leadership, the question you may be wondering is, what are the main skills if I follow this path? Well, here they are: public speaking, interpersonal communication, and management. What additional skills can you learn from this path? Strategic leadership and conflict resolution. Effective coaching. Here again, what are the main skills? Public speaking, interpersonal communication, and strategic leadership. But you're also going to learn about coaching and leadership. Engaging humor. This is kind of my favorite because I love humor and I love the humorous contests. It's really a skill. A lot of people think, well, I'm not very funny. I didn't think I was either. But if you work at it, if it's something that you really want to master, engaging humor will help you. And you can see this is very straightforward. The main skills: public speaking and speech writing. So it's very simple, very direct, but it accomplishes the goal. If this is what you want, it will help you accomplish that goal in your Pathways experience. Innovating planning. Public speaking, strategic leadership, and interpersonal communication. And you're probably starting to see there's a lot of overlap in the various pathways. And that's by design. Their focus may be on innovative planning overall. And here are the components of that: some additional skills in innovative planning, project management. Leadership development. The main skills you will develop are public speaking, interpersonal communication, and strategic leadership. Motivational strategies. Here again, public speaking, interpersonal communication, management, with additional skills as motivational leadership and motivational communication. Persuasive influence, public speaking and management, interpersonal communication, and in addition, leading in complex situations. That is certainly valuable because life itself is very complicated. And in organizations that deal with complex issues and complex organizational structures, this can be a skill that is absolutely good for you, both in the workplace and at home. Because if you happen to have a family and you're raising children, that counts as a complex situation in my book. Presentation mastery. This is one very straightforward. Probably it needs very little to say about it, except that if your goal is to be a super master presenter, this is the path you will probably want to pursue because it focuses exclusively on public speaking. Strategic relationships, public speaking, interpersonal communication and management, but it also helps you to develop networking skills. And networking is vitally important. I remember many, many years ago, entering the job market at a young age. And I had a mentor who said, It's not what you know, it's often who you know. And I thought, oh, okay, that has a little bit of political overtones that I'm not particularly happy with. But a lot of times, networking will help you accomplish the goals that you're looking for. And a statistic that comes to mind is some 75 to 80% of jobs, for example, aren't advertised, but they're learned through word of mouth. So networking skills can help you in a number of ways, particularly in your career. Team collaboration. Everything that we do in the workplace, really, with very few exceptions, is built around a team, and learning how to collaborate as a team is a vital skill that I think probably all of us could improve upon. So this pathway will help you with public speaking, strategic leadership, and interpersonal communication. Additionally, collaborative leadership. So it's a very important aspect of working with teams, and it's something really that employers are always looking for, is the ability to work together as an effective team. And last but not least, visionary communication. So this helps you develop your main skills are public speaking, management, interpersonal skills, interpersonal communication, with additional skills such as innovative communication and leadership. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'm just kind of scrolling through here. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just absorbing this like crazy because it's giving me tons of content to
Wonderful.
help bring in new members. And also, even though I've been a member for a while, I've never been given an orientation. And I think that this is something that every new member should get. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know about it. So this to me is so eye-opening. And I think every new member should have an orientation. And so I'm hoping that you'll let us have this slide deck so that we can do that with our own new members in our clubs.
Absolutely. Just shoot me your email address, and you've got my email address.
Yes, I wrote it down.
Okay.
Yes.
Just shoot me an email so I have your address, and I will be happy to share this with you. No problem. But you're right. We don't often, one of the things that we want to focus on for this coming year is developing best practices for our clubs. And one of them is, in fact, orientation. So hopefully this will be useful. The other thing that's going to happen is this presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel as well as our website. I'm a little concerned because it kind of got a little chopped there, so I may have to do redo this at some portion, but in any event.
Yeah, I think it would be really helpful because we have been developing an online digital new member packet. And good. I already grabbed the link for the Navigator PDF on the Toastmasters site because good. I want to put that in my new member packet. Absolutely. But I think it would be awesome if I could put a good version of this YouTube video in the new member packet as well.
Okay, I'm going to do my best to make sure that happens, and just shoot me an email and I will help get you whatever it is you need. Thank you, Linda. Anybody else have a comment or question?
Excuse me, Ken, I had a question. What was the additional skills for the persuasive influence? I missed that. I was writing it down.
And leading in complex situations.
Okay, thank you.
But again, if you would, I can send you a copy of this if you would like to have it. So just shoot me an email.
All righty. I'd already taken the assessment and that's what they suggested. So, okay.
Excellent. Hopefully it sounds like a good fit for you.
It is.
Good. All right. I want to go back to the club level. We talked about so far the organizational structure of Toastmasters, and we talked about your obligation as a Toastmaster. We did a brief overview of pathways. Now I want to talk about leadership opportunities starting at the club level. First of all, you have 7 officers in every club. The president is, and all of these are elected by the club members themselves. Either twice a year or once a year, we have elections, depending on how often your club meets. The president is the CEO, and face of the club, if you will, for their year as president. They conduct the business meetings, the executive committee meetings, and what have you. The vice president of education is focused on pathways and helping you to achieve the goals you've set for yourself. The VPE, as it's commonly called, also helps make sure the agenda is complete and you have people have the opportunity to go through the path that they've selected so that they can accomplish that goal. The vice president of membership is focused on recruitment, if you will, recruitment of new members, member satisfaction, that type of thing. The vice president of public relations is interested in promoting the club. So they are typically the person who manages your Facebook page, your club Facebook page, maybe your club website. If you are using Meetup, all of the social media aspects that are now an integral part of our clubs are typically going to be managed by your vice president of public relations. Your secretary is the record keeper for the club. They're the ones who are going to be focused on taking notes and making sure those get posted. The treasurer manages the finances, and then the sergeant at arms. At a district level, we have other positions of leadership. The area director, who oversees 4 to 6 clubs. The division director, these are elected, who oversees 4 to 6 areas. Club growth director, that's my role, I'm incoming for the district, who supports all clubs and develops new clubs. The program quality director, who oversees the educational programs that we have, like today's. The district director is the CEO of the district. Then there are a number of appointed positions, such as public relations manager for the district, financial manager. Administration manager is a fancy term for secretary for the district. Logistic manager is the equivalent of the sergeant at arms, and then the parliamentarian. So in summary, Toastmasters is organized around you. Its self-paced program, Pathways, is designed to improve communication and leadership skills. Peer support at the club level and beyond throughout our district is a goal that helps you to achieve what you want in communications and leadership. You will have plenty of leadership opportunities there for the taking at the club, area, division, and district levels. Toastmasters has a proven track record. It works. It does improve your communications and leadership skills, but you need to commit yourself to making sure that happens, because it won't happen by osmosis or on its own. Now, a couple of things I want to leave you with before we have our Q&A. The navigator, if you go to the TI website, toastmasters.org, and in the little search box up in the upper right-hand corner, you can just type in item number 8722 or the navigator, and it will take you to that booklet. And this booklet talks about becoming your role as a Toastmaster, the things we went over, and it goes into more depth on pathways. The other item I think you'll find very helpful is the Club Leadership Handbook. That's item number 1310, or just put Club Leadership Handbook, and the Distinguished Club Program and Club Success Plan. The Club Leadership Handbook talks more about the leadership of a club and how to help your club succeed. The Distinguished Club Programs talks about the various awards at the district level and the development of a plan to help your club grow and succeed. Now, the thing about the Toastmasters website, if you haven't been there yet, it is very robust and it can be overwhelming. But this is a good way to start. And then once you've become comfortable with the website, I encourage you to explore it. It has a ton of information. These are just 3 of the items that I always recommend for new Toastmasters that will help you understand how things work in Toastmasters and will guide you through your role in the club. I'm going to end today because I see I'm right on time here. It's almost 9:50. This is from our founder, Ralph Smedley. He said, whatever your grade or position, if you know how and when to speak and when to remain silent, your chances of real success are proportionally increased. So I'm going to stop sharing now and see if there are any questions. Does anybody know the theme to Jeopardy? They can hum that while we're. Okay, so we
I
have.
don't know that.
I thought it was very good and I learned a lot. And I even got a lot of really good tidbits of content for our social media because I'm the VP of PR.
Wonderful.
But I think that the VP of PR and the growth director are very closely related and should be, because they're trying to promote the club, but they also have to have a hand in glove with the new member process. And I'm trying to understand that right now and learn how that works so I can
Mhm.
do a better job of the PR, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely, it makes sense. Public relations is vitally important to the success of the club and to the success of our district. Our district PR director, our PR manager is Jennifer Smith. So I will also, if you don't know how to get in touch with Jennifer, I'll make sure that if you email me to that email address, then I will make sure you get contact information, and she's a wonderful lady. She's always willing to help you with any PR issues you may have. And
Right.
also, if let's see, is the PR next session? There's a PR class next session for VP PR,
Right,
and Nadia Gilks is teaching that.
right,
She is a past PR manager for the district, and you will
Right.
learn a lot.
Well, I've done that before. That's why I wanted to
Okay.
do something different. And I said, I think understanding what a new member goes through is important for me to understand because I've never been to an orientation. And I've been involved since 2018.
Well, I'm glad you decided to come today, and I'm glad we were
Me
able
too.
to offer this. And if you have additional suggestions on things you think we should include, one of the things that I'm working on as your club growth director is a best practices manual for clubs, so that each club will have, they'll be able to customize a plan, but they'll have a plan and resources ready-made that talks about what does it take to be a successful club and what are the best practices to get there.
Right. And that's why we're working on this new member packet and we want it to be digital because we're a hybrid club now because of the virus. And I think a lot of people don't want all the paper. So I think it's nice to be able to send them a link or have it online so they can access it anytime.
I think that's wonderful, and I hope you'll share it with us.
I will. I
district.
have it. I've already presented it to our officers and they're all reviewing it now. And I'm like, as we're talking, I'm changing things in it to kind of enhance it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any other questions that I can answer for anyone? How about I know we have some experienced Toastmasters in here. I see Phil Bateman and Lori Leonard, among others. Are there some things that our experienced members would like to add or comment on before we close the session?
And I think one of the biggest things is reaching out to your fellow members. Don't ever feel like you're lost. You have a plethora of experience in people around you, not only in your club, but in your area and within Toastmasters. TLI is a great opportunity to be able to meet other Toastmasters and ask questions. Everyone's that I've encountered in my years in Toastmasters is willing to answer, provide information, and get the feedback.
Good point, Phil. Thank you very much for that. Philip is a former district finance manager, so thank you for contributing. Anybody else before we close out the session?
I think another thing we should do, and I don't know how we could do it, is I think it would be great if we could have more actual like teaching and learning, not just our club meetings, where we're actually doing, like, I'll call them role-playing type workshops, where people can say, we're going to practice job interview techniques or something that's specific to the struggles that people have. So for instance, if my struggle is making presentations online, then I should go to a class or a workshop that's specifically geared towards that difficulty I'm having in my job. Or talking to my boss and, like role playing real life things that people struggle with who are afraid to speak up or talk, because those aren't necessarily paths, and it's more real life hands-on. And the
Linda,
other thing I think we need desperately is I think we need the ability to have some workshops on how to actually create a speech, how to put the words to paper, how to really create that outline and make it make sense.
Thank you, Linda, for all of those suggestions. I hope you'll send them to me in your email. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just got a message that we are getting ready to close the room.
There's breaks and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're getting ready to close the room here. So please feel free to send me your comments and suggestions, and we will work on that. One of the things we are planning for this year is we're going to do a lot more recorded training and post it on our YouTube channel. So your ideas, your suggestions, we want to hear those. So send me them when you can. I want to thank all of you for your attendance. I want to thank you for being part of Toastmasters, and I wish you all the best going forward. If there's anything I can do to assist, just get in touch. Have a good day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. You'll go back to the main room now.
Hi, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Had multiple people talking at the same time and was not able to understand anybody.
I didn't see a join button. Where would that be?
Yeah, it's right next to the name of the room. So like next to president, there's a blue join button to the right of it.
Oh,
Far right.
You know what the confusion was? It lists how many people are in the room, the number.
Yeah.
And then when I hover, it turns to join.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't see the join unless you hover over the number. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And as people are joining, they move. So it's like, sometimes you have to wait for them to quit bouncing so that you can click on them.
That's where we were. I am so glad you guys have been patient.
Oh, sure.
Hey, we're all learning. We're all learning.
This is true.
Can you put up the agenda for the TLI?
Sure, I
so
would
we
be
can-
happy to. Here is our next options. We have corporate membership and PR with Malik. We have Vice President Public Relations with Nadia, Sergeant at Arms with Mark, Pathways Base Camp Manager with Kristen, and meeting roles with Karen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And don't jump into the rooms yet, because I'm going to close these out in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Well, in 1 minute. And then I'll delete the old ones so that the list is smaller. Again, I'm trying something new, and
Carol, I didn't stop the recording when I left the breakout room. I presume that will come to you then?
it should be recording locally to you.
Okay, I need to go back to that breakout room then, because I didn't shut it down. My mistake here.